Welcome back. This is the WebStation for Physicians training video on Prescription Writer. First, in WebStation, you need to make sure that you have a patient selected. Then you simply click on the RX Writer tab next to the CPOE tab. Once inside the Prescription Writer tab, you'll see several things. First, you will see that the screen defaults to the Pending tab. If you see any prescriptions here, that means they have not been submitted to the pharmacies appropriately at this time. To add a prescription for this patient, you simply come down to the left where it says Add New. A screen will open up. It will display the home medications on the right and a search option box on the left. If you're prescribing from the home medication list, you can click on the right on the med that's appropriate. If you want to prescribe something that is not currently a home medication, you can type it in the box, press enter, or hit search, and then your list of options will now appear on the left. If you don't see an option here that you would like, you can usually sort by the appropriate filters in this range. If you wanted to see things that were not over the counter, you would uncheck that box. If you wanted to show routes that were not oral, you would uncheck that box. This column here indicates whether or not, based on this reported patient's pharmacy, which is controlled through a database called Dr. First in the background, if their insurance is going to pay for this prescription. You can choose to prescribe whatever you wish, but this kind of gives you a little indicator as to if it's going to be covered by insurance or not. So you find the appropriate one that you want, and then you just follow the rest of the prompts as it goes through the screen. Again, because I don't see any options here, it's because this common orders box is checked. So let's say I wanted this acetaminophen codeine. It's then going to bring up my prescription pad, and every field that has a red asterisk has to be addressed. So in this case, I had to pick the appropriate drug. I have to put in the appropriate dose and the appropriate unit, the frequency, the route, and then down here on the bottom you have two options. You have quantity sufficient for and quantity. If you read this text here, it says quantity is required to electronically send. That means there has to be something here in this quantity box in order for this to be sent electronically. A lot of times if you type something in the amount of days, it will automatically calculate based off of your frequency, the quantity. Sometimes it does not, so always be cautious of that. If you're trying to electronically send this prescription and it will not allow you to, as long as it's not controlled, then you will have to make sure that there's something in this quantity box. Chances are that's probably what's missing. Once you have filled this out and it's appropriate, if you have any other additional comments to the pharmacy, you can put that in this field. And then at the bottom, you want to save the prescription. Once you hit save, if there's any pharmacy alerts, this will pop up. You will address what's appropriate. And then now you'll see our prescription here for the acetaminophen codeine. And in the status column, you want to make sure that there's a green checkbox. If there's not a green checkbox, that means you've missed something in the prescription pad notes. So you need to click on the prescription and open it back up and address whatever the problem or the field that you were missing. Once you have added all the appropriate prescriptions, then what you do is you go down to continue. And then this tab will appear. It is the nurse's responsibility to put in the preferred pharmacy at the time she does the admission assessment for the patient. If for some reason this field is blank, you can simply search for a pharmacy by clicking this, finding the appropriate pharmacy that the patient chooses, and hitting save at the bottom right. If you were going to simply print these prescriptions, all you'd have to do is come down to submit on the right, and you would get a badge prompt, and then you would be finished after you tapped your Imprivata badge. If you want to send them electronically, you have to move the pharmacy over from the left to the right. So I'd use this box where it says use same pharmacy as method for all prescriptions. Pharmacies would auto-populate here. If they wanted to change the destination, they wanted one prescription to go to a certain pharmacy, one to go to another, you can do that by simply clicking the search box and changing the pharmacy. And then if you wanted to send it electronically, you'd have to change this print to transmit. As you can see, this is controlled to Schedule 3, so it will not allow for you to transmit in this drop-down. This will. So again, I'm going to print this one because it's controlled, and I'm going to transmit this one because it's not. So once I hit submit, it would prompt for my badge. It will appear that you can put a password in this box, but you cannot put a password in this box. You have to tap your badge on the Imprivata reader. This will then take you to a confirmation screen, and also known as the Submitted tab. So this will tell you that we submitted this prescription, we printed it, tells you what time you printed it, and then it will print to the closest approved prescription printer. You will then have to pick it up, and you will have to sign it and give it to the patient and or the nurse. If you send it electronically, you will get a screen that looks like this. It tells you that this prescription was sent electronically at this time to this pharmacy. And then your prescription process is complete. Now we're going to talk about a few other features that this program offers. You will see here in the top right, there's a drop-down box. This prescription drug monitoring program, if you click on that, that will take you to the ORS website, which is the Ohio Automated Prescription Reporting System, where you would find all of your narcotics and things like that for this patient if you were questioning whether they were receiving them or not. It doesn't log you directly in, so you'll still have to use your appropriate username and password. In another video, we will talk about this prescription writer maintenance. It's a nice feature if you want to customize some prescription templates so you don't have to always search for prescriptions if you prescribe the same thing a lot. One of the other features you have on this screen is, again, using your templates, which we'll talk about in another video. We talked about how you can see whether it's on formulary or not. But up here in the top, you have this med history consent. If you click that, if it happens to be grayed out, it asks you, has a patient given for obtaining medical history information? Our generalized hospital consent covers this, so you can hit yes. And by hitting yes and making this banner green, what that does is allows you to see prescription history when you're prescribing for the patient. So when you're in here, you're trying to add a medication. If you go here to view prescription history, what it will do is bring up the patient's filled prescription history on the left and their home medications on the right. This is very beneficial if you need a quick reference as to the patient tells you they take a blood pressure medicine, but they don't know which one they take. So you can find that in this list on the left. It will also tell you, if you hit fill details, when the last time it was filled, where it was filled, and any other information that might be interesting to know. And that concludes the tutorial on how to prescribe a medication either by printing and or sending electronically.